Hey, good afternoon, everybody. We are Scott and Rachel. We're excited to drop in again for this Turnaround Marriage Live. And we're excited to talk about a subject that is somewhat controversial today. And we think will be one that will be one that will maybe have people think a little bit differently about maybe their circumstances or also what the common thinking is about marriages. And this myth that we want to talk about today is that it absolutely always takes two people to save a marriage. We're going to come against that with some real truth and look at that from a different perspective. And definitely glad to have you on here with us today.
Yes. Hello, everybody. We are Scott and Rachel. We help committed Christian couples finally end the cycles of conflict, negativity, and disconnection and reclaim the love, passion, and playfulness that they once had. And so if you are struggling in your marriage and your spouse is not really wanting or willing to get help right now, this edition of Turnaround Marriage is for you.
Absolutely. So let's dive right in. And this is the heart of it. This is the belief that everybody says, like everybody believes this. This is something you hear all the time, that it absolutely always takes two to fix a marriage. And I realize that this is what everybody says. I realize that this is what a lot of experts, so-called experts, would say. But is it actually true? That's what we want to think about, and that's what we want to dive into today. So, like we said, a lot of times it is what even the experts say. It is what the common thinking is, even among those that are professionals in the field. Most go to even counseling believing that they need help, right? They know that they need help in their marriage, and they go to that counseling situation, or they go to their pastor for help. And in their heart of hearts, they believe essentially what?
They believe that my spouse needs to change
Yeah.
and I'm going to drag them with me. And
Yes.
by golly, they're going to do what he says, because if he would just get fixed, or if she would just quit nagging me, or if he would just, stop being so disconnected, then we could finally connect. And then we could finally get our marriage back. Then we could finally communicate. Or if he wasn't so angry, or if she wasn't so irritable, right?
Yeah.
And so often people go and seek out help, dragging their spouse along, thinking that, and the deep secret is, I'm going to go and we're going to fix this marriage because I'm going to fix you. And
Right.
guys, we're just here to bust that myth that you do not have to drag your spouse to counseling for you to get an outcome in your marriage, for you to get something turned around. We're here to tell you that that's just not true. I mean, so many people say it takes two to tango, right? And two of us got into this mess, so it's going to take both of us to get out. But the reality is the marriage is such a dynamic, integral relationship, such an intimate relationship, that when one person can stop the cycles, then the whole thing can change. The whole
Right.
thing, like the other spouse can start to think, wait, what's going on here?
Yeah.
So it absolutely doesn't take two.
Yeah. And let's think about it for a minute, guys. If you want to fix your marriage, but maybe your spouse is unwilling, what's going to happen? Like, think about this. This happens a lot. I talk to a lot of people, and oftentimes they'll say, my spouse is either one, not going to be open to it, or I'm afraid to ask them, or if I do ask them, they're probably going to say no, and I just don't want to go there.
Mm-hmm. Or they say, well, he's already tried X, Y, Z, and so he knows that nothing else is going to help. Nothing will change.
Right.
And so then the one spouse is just shut down to the idea of reaching out for help because they've already tried something and it didn't work. So therefore, nothing works. We've tried everything.
Yeah, that's
right?
the thinking. So if you want to fix your marriage, but your spouse, for whatever reason, is unwilling to go, what's going to happen? What's going to build up in you? There's going to be resentment, bitterness, anger, loneliness, frustration, whatever it's going to be. And this is going to bother you, just like that sound in the background.
Do you want me to unplug it?
Hopefully it won't pick up too much in the mic.
Okay.
It's a hydroponics growing in the background. We'll have to talk
I
about
like
that.
this sound.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, we'll go with it.
But
what's going to happen though? What's going to be the heart of that?
Yeah, when your spouse is unwilling to work on the marriage, it can make you feel really lonely and really frustrated. And then that root of bitterness can begin to grow. And you're just like, oh, if they could just see how much they're hurting me, and if they could just see how much, what he's doing to the family, or what she's done by leaving, or whatever it is. And then the roots of bitterness and anger and frustration grow in you. And then how are you showing up in the marriage? It's like a self-fulfilling thing. See, he won't come,
Right.
and I'm more angry and I'm more upset. And so then the way you're showing up in the marriage is further alienating your spouse, most likely, or further solidifying it in their mind. See, why should we even bother?
Right. And here's truth time. Okay. This is the heart of it. This is the core. We're going to get real here. This is what happens. Okay. When a marriage starts struggling, when a husband and wife, maybe they've tried a counseling appointment there, maybe they've talked to their pastor, maybe they've read a lot of books, whatever it is, they've talked to friends, family, please pray for us, all this stuff. What happens is in the heart of when things are, it looks like a real struggle, it's this. Both the husband and the wife have gotten to the place where they're essentially probably pouring poison into their marriage. They're not giving to the other person what they need most of all. The husband is not getting the respect that he needs. That is how he hears love. That's not what he wants. That's what he needs. It's so important. Same with the wife. If she's not feeling pursued, if she's not feeling cherished and protected, she is not getting what she needs. It's not what she wants. It's what she needs. And if you're in that place where you are in an unhealthy cycle and you're not giving to the other person what they need, what's going to happen? They're getting poison. You're poisoning them and therefore poisoning the relationship. So what happens in the struggle? Here's the heart of it. This is why people believe that they need to see the other person change. When they're struggling like that, the husband, their wife, they're really hurting. And you're hurting and they're hurting. And you're looking at them and you're thinking, well, I don't know that they're hurting because it seems like they've changed. You know what? It seems like they don't even really care. My husband doesn't even care anymore. Well, is that actually the heart of it? Or is it that he's hurting and you don't understand where he's at? See what I'm saying? And maybe you can embellish and add to that, Rachel.
Yeah.
But that's the heart of it. You're pouring poison in, and the other person might think, well, what's going to even matter if I try anymore?
Right. Because men and women are wired differently. We are different. We're made differently in the image of God. And so when we are hurting, how it shows up and how it looks functionally in the marriage is very different than how a husband would be showing up hurt. You know, a husband may withdraw. He may just isolate. He may just build the walls up and just shut down. Right. Numb himself in video games or online shopping or just scrolling or whatever it is to try to not think, to try to not feel. And then a woman is out left feeling, see, he doesn't even care. When he does care, he just doesn't know what to do. And so he's trying to do the thing that will hurt him the least. And at the same time, a woman, she might just really want her husband to listen. And so she just nags and chases him and attacks. And it is just like, because she's hurting so much. But instead of him seeing the hurt, all he sees is this nagging wife that he wants to get away from. And it can be reversed. You know, it could be the situation. I mean, the wife can withdraw and the husband can pursue. You know, it can look different. But just because it looks different doesn't mean your spouse isn't also hurting.
Absolutely. And this is the thing we hear all the time. All the time. He's changed. She's changed. They're not who they used to be. They don't even care. They don't even love me anymore. They don't even love God. Like you're looking at the other person and you have believed, because you've heard this myth over and over again, that it absolutely takes two. You're sitting there and you're basically waiting for the other person to change, and you're seeing them go the opposite way of where you'd want them to see them going, and you're hurting, they're hurting, and you don't understand the way the other person's hurting, and you're believing the worst about their hurt. And so you think they just don't like you. They have changed a lot. They're committed to this thing dying. They don't care about the marriage. It could go on and on. Always, 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 you believe they don't want to change, and you don't understand where they're coming from. Here is the heart of it. You're hurting, they're hurting. Bottom line.
Absolutely, Scott. That's so good. And that's exactly where we were.
Absolutely.
When we were in our really deepest, darkest ruts and our deepest times. I just felt like you didn't love me at all. You were just so shut down, so withdrawn. You were hurting so much that you were just isolating yourself from the pain. And it just left me feeling so lonely in the marriage. And I just couldn't figure out how to reach you. I just didn't know how to
Yeah.
help you. And so it left me just feeling so first lonely, but then the bitterness and anger and resentment really started to build because I was just like, oh, why doesn't he care? And I'm sure you felt the same way
Yeah.
about me. Like I
Yeah.
was such a nag and I was just attacking you and I was just so disrespectful because I was wanted to get something out of you. So I knew how to poke those buttons. How many wives have been pushing your husband's buttons to try to get some response out of him?
Yeah.
Ladies, I'm here to tell you that's not an effective strategy
No,
for
that's
getting
not.
your husband's
That's
attention.
not. But let's throw it out there, guys. What would happen if one of the two of you said no more? I'm not going to poison this marriage. You maybe not thought of it that way, but what if one of you said no longer is that going to happen, and instead I'm going to pour nourishment into this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to pour nourishment into our home. What would happen? What would happen if one person decided, I'm going to start looking at my own blind spots? What if one person said, instead of looking at the speck in my brother's eye, my husband, my wife, I'm going to look at the log in my own? What if one person said, I'm going to crush these patterns of dysfunction in our home once and for all. I'm going to break these cycles. What happens then? What happens if one person does that?
Yeah, because the thing about a cycle is you both get spinning in the wrong direction. Whether it's this, we've talked about cycles on other videos. It's cycles of disrespect and then not feeling loved and how vicious that is. And all it takes is one person to break that cycle, or the vicious cycles of like withdrawal and pursuit. If one is not being pursued, then the other one chases and withdraws, and there's just this pain and all this stuff. There's 100 different kinds of cycles that could happen. But if one person could learn how to break the cycle, it can't spin anymore. Right. It can't spin.
Right.
That's powerful.
That's true. What if one person, guys, could begin elevating the marriage? What if one person could start changing even the way that you're looking at the Lord? One could lead you both to look back upon Christ, not looking to Christ as a weapon to prove your point, or to use the Bible to show that you're right, but instead to look unto the Lord Jesus for help. What if one could start hoping and believing again that God could heal this thing? If one person did that, you're telling me things couldn't change? What if one started really, truly believing that God was at work and looking upon him for the solution? Like, things couldn't change? Of course they would change.
Right. What if one person could learn how to resolve conflict, how to communicate at a heart level, rather than just trying to get your point across and trying to be heard? And the bottom line is this, guys: if you think that it takes both of you to fix your marriage and your spouse is unwilling or just reluctant to try, you won't even try. You are going to fail before you even give it a go.
Right.
If that is your belief. So we've got to break these beliefs first. And the belief that it takes both of us, that's just not true. What if just one person could begin to change the way the relationship goes? What if the other person could be drawn back in? What if things could change radically? Guys, you're not even going to try if you believe that it's going to take both of you and one of you is unwilling.
Yeah.
You won't even try. And if you don't try, you have failed. That's the only way to be sure to fail, is to not try, right?
That's true.
And so why not be willing to fail? Why not be willing to try? Why not be willing to give it a shot? What do you have to lose besides everything? You have everything to lose if you don't.
It's true.
Your marriage, your family, your closeness, right? And so why not? Like, why not? We've got to let go of these limiting beliefs that are holding us back and saying, well, it needs to be him, or why doesn't, it's like, what about me? What if it could just start right here in the mirror?
Complete ownership. That's what we're talking about. What if you started completely owning your failings and not blaming the other person? Like you said, Rachel, it's exactly right. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you just are committed to, hey, well, it has to take two and they're unwilling, so therefore this is pretty much over and it's all their fault because they're unwilling to try to get the help. What if they're just in a place, guys, where, like, I mean, in some ways, that's where I was. I was in such a pit of despair that I pushed everybody else away, that I didn't think it was even possible. And you could have easily had the perspective, and you, Rachel, you did lead the way for us to get the right help, no question about it. And I wouldn't say I was kicking and screaming, but I was very resistant to it at first.
Well,
You know?
because you didn't think that it would work,
Right.
or you wondered. Sometimes you can be your spouse can be in such a pit of despair that they can feel totally hopeless.
Right.
And maybe it's just that you can have that glimmer of hope. You could believe in the two of you enough for your spouse
Yes.
to get started,
Yes.
to get going.
Yes.
Sorry,
Absolutely.
I didn't mean to interrupt your thought.
No, you're absolutely right. So the point is, if the other person's not showing up the way you wish that they were, or they're not showing their hurts similar to you, you can have this belief that they're unwilling, they're never going to get the help, therefore they're the one that's at fault. Like, talk to anybody that's been divorced. They almost always will blame the other person. Always. Now, we all know that there's always plenty of people to blame. Like, who's more at fault when a marriage fails? It's never 99% to 1. It's never 100% 0. It's always closer to 50-50. Always, always, always. So,
well, I would argue it could be 75-25,
Well,
but there's
maybe.
enough.
Maybe.
There's enough. You've got to take ownership of your part.
absolutely.
And so, if you're the one who wants to save the marriage, you have to have enough hope, enough belief, and enough action to take action. At least to start with you.
Mhm.
And so many people say, "Oh, well, I just need to work on myself for a while first, and
Right.
then we can work on the marriage." And we're here to tell you, like, why not work on both? Why not work on both at the same time, even if it's just you wanting to impact yourself and your marriage at the same time? So if that's you, we have good news for you. We have this free masterclass that we've created for you, the 5-step strategy Christian couples use to completely turn their marriage around quickly,
Mhm.
recover intimacy, and fall back in love again. Guys, we're here to tell you this is the stuff born out of our 25 years of marriage and
Yeah.
ministry, born out of the things we wish we had known along the way. And so much of it has to do with what happens right here between your ears, what you're believing about what's happening in your marriage. And so if that is of interest to you, we want you to go to turnaroundmarriage.com/class. Class, right?
Yep.
And go ahead and register. And show up with an open heart and open mind and something to take notes with, because I'm telling you, it's going to be some of the best 45 minutes you spend on you and your marriage.
Absolutely. And guys, the last thought I'd throw out there is we could just give up and believe that the other one is more at fault, or that they didn't want to try. But why would you want to live the rest of your life with regret? Like, why would you want to live the rest of your life wondering would have even mattered? And let's be frank. Not every time that one person really tries does the other one respond. Not always. But isn't it worth fighting for?
Mm-hmm.
God brought the two of you together. God brought perhaps children in your life. Isn't this worth fighting for? If not for nothing else, to glorify the Lord and to leave an example for your children. Isn't it worth it? Of course it is. So we want to again encourage you to check that out, turnaroundmarriage.com/class. And that'll be the best 45 minutes you guys can spend today investing in your marriage.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So for now, we want to wish you a happy Sunday, and we want to offer the help and hope for your Christian marriage. Have a great day.
Take care, guys.